How concerned and where should our concern be with the spread of radical Islam in the world? Check out this clip from the John Anderson show where the guest goes through some of the nuance that's involved in this particular area. So let's watch this clip together, but before you do, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Check this out.
It seems to me that we must face the very real possibility of some very ugly things being launched within the West, against the West, by radicals, by extremists, by terrorists. I mean, look at the porous borders in America. Who knows? They wouldn't know who they've got there now. Do we really know who's in Britain? Do the French know who they've got?
Well, of course, there have already been some terrorist attacks in France in the last 4 weeks. And I don't think it's unreasonable to worry that in the overheated atmosphere that has been generated since the October 7th attacks, there may be an upsurge of the kind of terrorism that we got all too used to in cities like the one we're in, London. You know, just a few weeks ago, I was on the London Underground before October 7th, and I was thinking, that's funny, I no longer worry about a terrorist attack as I go through Piccadilly Circus and the Tube. Well, I'm back to worrying about it now. The question is whether they will go down that road on a large scale, because they may not need to. The calculation may in fact be that non-violent methods are working better than violent methods, turning the West itself. Now, this is an extremely important distinction that not many people understand, but my wife, Ayaan Hirsi Ali, wrote an entire book about it, about Dawa. Everybody knows jihad.
Yes.
Everybody's heard of the idea that you should make war on behalf of the Prophet. But the point that Ayaan has been making for years is that it's just as insidiously effective, and maybe more effective, to engage in a peaceful proselytization on behalf of Salafism and other forms of radical Islam. And that's what's going on. And what's so difficult about this process of the peaceful spread of radical Islam is that we, in our open societies, can't do much to stop it. We can stop terrorism. It's very clear that we can stop people engaging in violent criminal acts, but it's much harder to stop radical preachers going from Muslim center to Islamic center, making their arguments. If they don't explicitly engage in violence, they can speak violently, they can talk about violence, they can even preach the annihilation of the State of Israel. But there's nothing we can do under our current laws to prevent them engaging in that kind of thing. And so I think that's part of the problem that we face. It might be that there'll be another upsurge in terrorist violence. I don't rule that out. But it might be that they concluded that that's not actually the most effective way to get what they want.
You often hear people say, draw a distinction, radical Islamists from other Islamists. So there are many, many groupings in the Islamist world. But part of the picture you're painting, I think, as you mentioned about radicals moving from centre to centre, is that they're radicalising.
Yes.
And there seems, perhaps it's a result of fear, I don't know what other factors are involved, a great reluctance for moderate Muslims, as they're often categorised, to stand up and say, this is outrageous, we won't support this idea of slaughtering others and celebrating it in the name of Allah. It's not giving Allah a very good name, I wouldn't have thought.
Well, this is an ongoing battle. It goes back to 9/11 and even further back than that within the Muslim world. There was a moment just last week when a woman in Gaza mourning her dead son shouted that this was all the fault of Hamas. And immediately she was grabbed and her mouth was covered and she was bundled away, because Hamas runs, of course, an unfree society which rules by fear. It is difficult to be a moderate or reformist Muslim. In fact, it's dangerous to be a Muslim who speaks out against the extremists because they face real threats to their lives. And if, like my wife, you leave Islam and become an apostate, then you are fair game. Then you are somebody who, according to Sharia law, should be killed. So it's dangerous to speak up against the radicals. That's in the nature, I think, of Islam.
So I thought this was a very good rundown of some of the ways in which radical Islam might be trying to spread its ideology. Certainly in Israel and around the world, the war is not against Arabs nor against Muslims. The war is against a radical ideology which seeks the destruction of Israel, of America, of the West as a whole. This is civility versus barbarism, not Jew versus Arab or Westerner versus Arab or Muslim. It's my sincere hope that good people unite together and add in light, add in acts of goodness and kindness, and dispel the darkness that currently is growing in our world right now. If you like this content overall, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Take care.